God's chosen one. Never share these 3 secrets. When you walk through life with the awareness that you have been set apart, chosen for a higher calling, there is a natural shift in how you speak, what you reveal, and to whom you open the treasures of your heart. Being chosen is not a casual label. It is a sacred identity that comes with both blessings and responsibilities. The world may admire your light, but it will also be curious, sometimes dangerously so, about what fuels it. Not every truth you carry is meant for open display. Some parts of your journey are like rare gems meant to be protected from careless handling. And so, there are certain things that, once revealed to the wrong ears, can be misunderstood, twisted, or even used against you. To protect the path you are on, you must learn the wisdom of restraint, of silence, of guarding the holy things entrusted to you. This is not secrecy born from fear. It is the discipline of valuing what is sacred. Before we go deeper, I want to pause and invite you to engage in something meaningful with me. If you are watching this video, I encourage you to stay until the end, because what we are about to discuss could protect your destiny in ways you may not yet realize. And as a way of connecting and energizing the path ahead, I want you to write in the comments your warmest wishes and the number 77. This is more than just a symbol. It's a moment to declare your hopes, align your energy with them, and send them into the flow of the universe, where they can grow and return to you multiplied. Many have found that when they've done this with sincerity, their desires began to take shape in ways they could not have predicted. So let this be the first act of intention in a conversation that will guide you toward deeper wisdom. Nanan, there is a reason why some of the most powerful people in history, those who carried influence, vision, or divine purpose, were people of careful speech. They knew that words, once spoken, cannot be taken back. They understood that revealing too much, too soon, could sabotage what they were building. Being God's chosen one means you are carrying something delicate, yet immensely powerful, and your responsibility is not only to nurture it, but also to shield it from forces that cannot or will not understand it. When you allow the wrong voices into the intimate spaces of your life, you give them a map to places they have no right to enter. Sometimes these people are not intentionally malicious. They may simply lack the capacity to handle what you are carrying. But in other cases, there are those who will see your calling as a threat, and they will seek to dismantle it. The way you protect yourself is by discerning what should never be shared. The first of these sacred boundaries is about your spiritual encounters. There are moments in your journey where you receive visions, insights, or deep revelations that are not meant for public consumption. These moments are intensely personal, often tailored specifically for your growth and understanding. When you share them prematurely, you invite interpretation from those who may not have the same lens, who may diminish the depth of what you experienced or label it as something trivial. Worse still, some may attempt to manipulate that knowledge to steer you off course. Your spiritual encounters are like seeds. They need time in the soil before they can break through the surface. Speaking of them too soon is like digging them up before they have had the chance to take root. Another secret you must protect is the depth of your future plans. There is nothing wrong with speaking about dreams in general terms, but the intricate details, the timing, the connections, the resources, are not for everyone to know. Plans are fragile in their early stages. They can be disrupted by criticism, jealousy, or even spiritual opposition. The more people know the exact framework of your intentions, the more entry points you give them to interfere, even if unknowingly. Some will doubt you, and their doubt can sow seeds of hesitation in your own mind. Others might rush to replicate or sabotage your efforts. Your dreams deserve a safe environment in which to grow, free from the pollution of negative voices. Learn to cultivate them in quiet, allowing them to mature until they are strong enough to withstand the winds of scrutiny. The third secret that must remain guarded is the inner workings of your struggles. It may feel natural to share your difficulties with others as a way of seeking comfort or validation, but the truth is, not everyone is equipped to handle the rawness of your battles. Some may see your moments of vulnerability as weakness and use them to undermine you. Others may feed off your pain, unconsciously or not, without offering real support. And there are those who might subtly remind you of your failures, not to help you grow, but to keep you from rising higher. When you are in the thick of a struggle, what you need most is clarity, not scattered opinions that could cloud your judgment. Protect your healing space. Share your burdens with only those you know are deeply trustworthy, who have proven themselves to handle your heart with care. Not spin you live as God's chosen one means walking with a constant awareness of what is worth revealing and what must be held in sacred silence. There is power in discretion. Every time you choose not to share something prematurely, you strengthen your position. It is an act of faith that says, I trust the timing. I trust the process. I do not need external validation to know the worth of what I am carrying. Your silence can become a shield, a strategy, and even a form of worship, a way of honoring the significance of your calling. And yet, guarding your secrets is not about withdrawing from the world or living in paranoia. It is about creating boundaries that allow you to move with confidence. When you decide what parts of your story belong to the public and what parts are meant for your own private communion, you reclaim control over your narrative. You no longer live at the mercy of other people's interpretations. You are not obligated to explain yourself to everyone, nor do you need to justify every choice you make. That freedom is one of the greatest gifts of maturity, and it will serve you well in protecting your destiny. When you start living with this awareness, you will notice that the energy around you shifts. People sense when you are holding something powerful, even if they cannot name it. Some will be drawn to it, genuinely wanting to support you or learn from you, while others will feel unsettled or competitive. This is why discernment becomes one of the most valuable skills you can develop. Discernment is not just about identifying who is good or bad. It's about understanding the capacity of each person in your life. Even someone with a kind heart may not be ready to carry the weight of your truth. And when you share with someone who is not ready, the message you give them can easily be distorted. Not because they want to harm you, but because they are interpreting it through their own limited experience. Over time, you will come to realize that privacy is not loneliness, and silence is not weakness. In fact, both are forms of strength when used intentionally. Privacy allows you to work on yourself without constant outside interference. Silence creates space for deeper reflection and alignment. When you choose not to share certain details, you give yourself the gift of uninterrupted growth. Imagine planting a seed and allowing it to grow underground before exposing it to the open air. This is what happens when you nurture your visions in private. They develop roots strong enough to sustain them when they finally emerge into the public eye. None of the greatest misunderstandings about being chosen is the assumption that you must be transparent about every detail of your life. While transparency can build trust, overexposure can leave you vulnerable. There is a balance between openness and self-protection, and walking in that balance is an art. This balance allows you to be authentic without being reckless, to share parts of yourself without giving away the keys to your entire being. Think of it as the difference between showing someone a beautiful garden and giving them unrestricted access to your greenhouse. One allows them to appreciate the beauty of what you have cultivated. The other risks them tampering with the growth process. And as you master this art, you will notice that your relationships change. Some people may feel offended by your new boundaries, mistaking your discretion for distance. Others may actually respect you more, sensing the weight of what you are guarding. Not everyone will understand your choices, but that is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to protect the calling, vision, and wisdom that have been entrusted to you. When you let go of the need to explain yourself to everyone, you free up energy to invest in the things that truly matter. It is also important to recognize that your silence is not just a defense against others, it is a form of preparation. By withholding certain truths, you allow them to evolve in your own mind and spirit. You gain clarity, refine your vision, and strengthen your resolve. When the time does come to share, you will speak from a place of maturity rather than uncertainty. You will be able to stand firm in your words because you have already worked through the doubts and challenges privately. In this way, your silence becomes a foundation for confidence rather than a cage for fear. There is also a subtle but profound shift that happens when you begin to live this way. You stop needing immediate recognition or validation for your ideas and actions. You understand that the most powerful work often happens quietly, behind the scenes. You realize that applause is fleeting, but integrity lasts. You learn to measure success not by how quickly others notice your progress, but by how deeply you are rooted in your purpose. This perspective will not only protect your secrets but also preserve your peace. Untitled journey of guarding sacred things is not without challenges. You will sometimes feel the urge to share, to prove, to defend. This is natural, especially when you are excited about what you are building or frustrated by misunderstandings. But every time you resist that impulse, you build inner strength. You teach yourself that your worth is not dependent on immediate acknowledgement. You remind yourself that patience is not inaction, it is strategy. It is choosing to wait until the soil is ready before planting the seed in someone else's mind. None. You will also come to see that the less you say, the more people will wonder. Silence has a way of creating curiosity. While this can sometimes be uncomfortable, it can also work in your favor. It draws attention to your actions rather than your words, forcing people to evaluate you based on what they see rather than what they hear. And in a world overflowing with noise, this quiet confidence can be incredibly powerful. It sets you apart. It makes your voice stronger when you do decide to speak, because people know you do not waste words. In protecting these three kinds of secrets, your spiritual encounters, your detailed plans, and the intimate struggles you face, you create a shield around your destiny. You ensure that the most delicate parts of your journey are nurtured in an environment that can sustain them. And perhaps most importantly, you learn to trust yourself. You stop relying on constant feedback from others and start relying on the inner guidance that has brought you this far. That trust becomes unshakable, and it is that unshakable trust that will carry you through every challenge ahead. And when you begin to live with this intentional protection of your inner life, you will notice something unexpected. You will start to hear yourself more clearly. Without the clutter of too many opinions, without the noise of constant explanations, your inner voice grows stronger. You begin to trust your instincts in ways you never thought possible. It's as though you've cleared a channel between your mind, your spirit, and your actions, allowing insight to flow freely without being interrupted by the static of outside influence. This heightened clarity becomes one of your greatest assets, helping you make decisions with confidence and precision. Untitled. Truth is, most people do not know what to do with information that carries deep meaning. They may listen, but their frame of reference is limited to their own experiences, fears, and desires. This means that even when they mean well, they can unintentionally project their limitations onto you. They might tell you your vision is too ambitious, not because it truly is, but because they cannot imagine themselves doing it. or they might warn you of dangers that they themselves would not have the courage to face. If you allow these voices to shape your actions, you could end up shrinking your life to fit someone else's comfort zone. Guarding your secrets is, in part, a way of shielding yourself from these projections. There is also a deeper, almost spiritual reason for this kind of discretion. When you hold something precious in silence, you keep its energy intact. You prevent it from being scattered and diluted through too many conversations. The more you speak about a vision that has not yet materialized, the more it can lose its potency. It becomes subject to the interpretations, questions, and doubts of others, which can subtly alter your relationship to it. Silence preserves the raw, unfiltered connection between you and what you are creating. It allows you to nurture it in its purest form until it is ready to exist in the world without being diminished. Living this way also teaches you to appreciate timing. Just because something is true today does not mean it is ready to be shared today. There is a rhythm to life, and part of your role as a chosen one is to learn to move in step with that rhythm. Some truths need to be spoken immediately, but others require patience. They need the right audience, the right circumstances, the right alignment of events. When you honor that timing, you find that your words land with far more impact. They reach people when they are ready to hear them, and that readiness can make all the difference in how your message is received. And there will be moments when holding back feels unnatural, even painful. You may want to share out of excitement, or because you believe that telling someone will make the experience more real. But remember, reality is not created by how many people know about something. It is created by the work you do and the commitment you maintain behind the scenes. In fact, there is a certain beauty in carrying something quietly, knowing that its value does not diminish simply because it is unseen. This is the kind of inner strength that builds unshakable confidence. And discipline of silence, also has a refining effect on your relationships. As you become more selective about what you share, you begin to see who respects your boundaries and who tries to push past them. You learn which people can handle mystery without demanding constant explanations, and which ones become uncomfortable when they are not given every detail. The ones who remain supportive, even without full access to your inner world, are the ones who truly value you for who you are, not just for what you reveal. These are the relationships worth nurturing. In the process, you will also find yourself becoming more observant. When you are not constantly speaking, you begin to listen more closely to people, to situations, to your own intuition. You notice patterns in behavior that you might have overlooked before. You see how certain individuals react to small pieces of information, and this helps you gauge whether they could be trusted with something bigger. Silence, in this way, becomes not just a method of protection, but also a tool for discernment. Another gift of this way of living is the peace it brings. When you stop feeling the need to share everything, you remove a tremendous amount of pressure from yourself. You no longer feel obligated to explain your decisions or defend your dreams to everyone. You save energy by avoiding unnecessary debates or justifications. Instead, you can direct that energy into the work itself, into actually building the life you are called to live. This peace is not just the absence of conflict, it is the presence of focus. Of course, there will be times when you must speak, times when your story or your vision must be shared for the sake of connection, inspiration, or action. The key is that when these moments come, you will be ready. You will speak from a place of clarity and purpose, and your words will carry a weight that they would not have had if you had scattered them too soon. This is the paradox of silence. The less often you speak, the more powerful your voice becomes when you do. And ultimately, the discipline of guarding these three kinds of secrets is about more than protection. It is about power. It is about knowing when to hold and when to release, when to stay quiet and when to let your truth be heard. It is about living with intention, recognizing that not every part of your journey is meant for public display. By honoring this, you not only protect yourself from unnecessary harm, but you also give your destiny the space it needs to unfold in its fullest, most beautiful form. And as you walk further on this path of chosen purpose, you begin to realize that much of the noise you once allowed into your life was self-invited. It came from the habit of oversharing, from letting others into spaces they were never meant to occupy. At first, it may be uncomfortable to admit this to yourself, but that honesty is liberating. You see clearly that every time you gave away too much too soon, you diluted the strength of your own vision. Now, with greater awareness, you begin to treat your inner life like a sacred garden, one that is only open to those who will tend to it with care rather than trample on its growth. In this stage, self-control becomes your ally. It is not the kind of control that suffocates or restrains your personality. It is the kind that channels your energy toward what truly matters. You start to measure your words before you speak them, not out of fear, but out of reverence for the power they hold. You no longer feel compelled to answer every question or satisfy every curiosity. Instead, you become comfortable with letting certain things remain unsaid, trusting that their time will come. This shift not only preserves your energy, but also increases the respect others have for you. People naturally value what is rare and guarded. When you become more intentional with your words, those words carry greater weight. You also begin to see how easy it is for the wrong information in the wrong hands to be misused. This doesn't mean that everyone around you is waiting to harm you, but it does mean that not everyone understands the responsibility that comes with holding someone else's truth. Some people simply lack the maturity or perspective to hold sensitive information without reshaping it according to their own lens. Others may repeat what you've told them without malicious intent, not realizing the damage it could cause. When you guard your inner world, you protect not only yourself, but also the integrity of the message you carry. Non-NTHE. More you practice this discretion, the more you begin to notice subtle shifts in your own mindset. You no longer crave the immediate satisfaction of being heard. You become less reactive and more deliberate. You learn to observe situations fully before deciding whether to share anything at all. This patience creates space for wisdom to develop, and wisdom is something that cannot be rushed. It grows in the quiet spaces, nourished by reflection and reinforced by experience. You begin to understand that the deepest truths often speak the loudest in silence. Nor in moments when you are tempted to speak, ask yourself what the true purpose of sharing would be. Is it to inspire, to instruct, to connect? Or is it to seek validation, to relieve anxiety, or to prove a point? If your reasons are rooted in insecurity or impatience, silence may serve you better. This kind of self-questioning doesn't come naturally at first. It takes practice, but over time, it becomes second nature, and you find yourself more in control of your narrative than ever before. You also become more aware of the environments in which you choose to speak. Not every setting is conducive to the kind of truth you carry. Some spaces are too noisy, too chaotic, or too full of competing agendas to allow your words to be heard as they are meant to be. In such places, it is wiser to observe, to gather information, and to wait for a better moment. Your patience in waiting for the right environment ensures that your words will land with greater precision and impact. This transformation in how you communicate will ripple out into other areas of your life. Your work will be more focused because you are no longer constantly distracted by explaining it to others. Your relationships will become healthier because they are built on mutual respect and trust rather than constant disclosure. Your sense of self will strengthen because you are living from the inside out, anchored in your own convictions rather than swayed by the shifting opinions of others. All of this creates a kind of quiet authority that others will recognize, even if they cannot fully explain it. And over time, you may notice that the people who remain in your inner circle are those who can sit with you in silence without feeling the need to fill it. They are the ones who respect your pauses, who do not pry for details you are not ready to share. They offer support without demanding constant access, and their presence feels safe because it is free of intrusion. These relationships are rare, and they are worth protecting. They form the supportive structure around your calling, allowing you to move forward with confidence. And this is the paradox of being chosen. The more you grow, the fewer people you will find who can truly walk alongside you at the deepest levels. This is not a sign of isolation. It is a refinement of alignment. You are no longer surrounded by the loudest voices, but by the truest ones. And as you continue to protect the sacred parts of your journey, you give yourself the space to flourish without unnecessary interference, criticism, or distraction. NNTHE discipline of never sharing these three secrets openly is not about building walls. It is about cultivating a safe environment for your destiny to take root and expand. By honoring your spiritual encounters, guarding the intricate details of your plans, and keeping the depth of your struggles in trusted hands, you ensure that nothing precious is wasted. You are not hiding out of fear, you are preserving out of wisdom. And in doing so, you are strengthening the very foundation on which your future will stand. There comes a moment when you begin to notice that the boundaries you've set for yourself have not only protected your path, but have also transformed the way others interact with you. People become more mindful of what they say and how they approach you. The absence of constant access creates an atmosphere of respect, and those who once took your openness for granted now pause before making demands on your attention. This shift is not because you have distanced yourself out of coldness, but because you have made it clear, through consistent action, that your inner world is not a place for casual entry. This quiet declaration carries more weight than any verbal announcement ever could. You will also find that this way of living makes you a better listener. Because you are not always rushing to speak or reveal your own story, you can give your full attention to others. This deepened listening changes the dynamic of your conversations. People feel truly heard when they speak to you, and that sense of being valued builds trust. Ironically, the very boundaries that keep certain parts of your life private can make others more willing to share their own truths with you. And because you have learned the importance of discretion, you can hold their confidences with the same care you give your own. In your work, whether it is public or private, the fruits of this discipline become clear. Projects progress more smoothly because you are no longer burdened by the need to explain every step to people who may not understand the process. Your focus is sharper, your creativity more fluid, and your resilience stronger. Without the drain of defending your choices, you have more energy to actually implement them. You start to see results that speak for themselves, and these results in turn reduce the need for long explanations. Your work becomes your statement, and it speaks louder than any words could. NNTHE temptation to share will still come, especially in moments of excitement or frustration. You may accomplish something significant and feel the urge to tell everyone, or face a setback and want to unload your feelings. In these moments, it is vital to pause and ask yourself who truly needs to know. Often, you will realize that the list is much shorter than your initial impulse suggests. The practice of pausing before speaking gives you the chance to consider the potential outcomes of what you are about to say. Sometimes, silence will still be the wisest choice. Other times, you will find that sharing selectively with a trusted person gives you the support you need without compromising your privacy. As your life continues to align with your purpose, you will see how the world tries to draw more from you. People may become curious about your process, your decisions, or your mindset. Some will ask directly, while others will try to piece it together from small clues. You may even notice that the more you withhold, the more they speculate. It can be tempting to correct their assumptions or clarify their misunderstandings, but even this is not always necessary. Not every inaccuracy needs to be addressed. Sometimes letting people think what they will is part of protecting your energy. Your goal is not to control how others see you. It is to remain steadfast in who you are. You will also become more comfortable with the idea that not everyone is meant to understand your journey. This acceptance frees you from the exhausting effort of trying to be understood by all. You stop seeking approval from those who were never meant to validate your path. Instead, you focus on walking it with integrity, knowing that the right people will recognize your truth without needing every detail explained. This is one of the most liberating realizations you can have. It removes the need to perform or prove, allowing you to simply be. As you refine this way of living, your connection to your own inner guidance deepens. You learn to trust that still, quiet voice within you more than the loud, shifting voices outside of you. Decisions become clearer, not because life is without challenges, but because you have removed unnecessary noise from your decision-making process. You are no longer swayed by fleeting trends or the emotional swings of those around you. You move with a steady rhythm, guided by something greater than the opinions of others. Protecting your inner life in this way does not mean you become unreachable or closed off. On the contrary, it allows you to show up more fully in the moments that matter. Because you are not constantly drained by overexposure, you have more presence to give when you do choose to share. And when you speak, your words are infused with the depth that comes from having been shaped in silence. This presence, calm, grounded, and intentional, is what draws others to you in a way that is lasting and genuine. And over time, you will see that these boundaries are not limitations, but foundations. They are the structure that allows your purpose to stand tall and unshaken, even in the face of criticism, misunderstanding, or envy. The more you honor them, the more you see their benefits: greater clarity, stronger relationships, more meaningful work, and a deeper peace within yourself. And perhaps most importantly, you realize that this way of living is not just about protecting what you have. It is about creating the space for even greater things to grow. With time, you begin to understand that the ability to keep certain things to yourself is not simply a habit. It is a skill that must be nurtured and strengthened. This skill is forged in the moments when speaking might feel easier, but silence serves you better. It grows every time you choose to protect your vision, instead of seeking an instant reaction. It sharpens with every experience in which you witness the consequences of overexposure, whether in your own life or in the lives of others. By honoring this discipline, you begin to operate on a different level of awareness, one where you can see beyond the present moment and anticipate how today's choices will shape tomorrow's outcomes. And in this space of heightened awareness, you also become more sensitive to the motives of those around you. Not all curiosity is innocent, and not all interest is supportive. Some people may ask questions as a way to gather information, not because they genuinely care, but because they want to measure your progress, compare it to their own, or find weaknesses they can exploit. Others may seem to cheer for you on the surface, yet quietly hope for your struggles to validate their own limitations. These dynamics are not always easy to see at first, but the more you practice discernment, the more obvious they become. And with that clarity, you learn to respond with grace while still maintaining firm boundaries. You also discover that when you speak less, you listen more, not only to others, but to the subtle guidance of life itself. You start noticing patterns, opportunities, and warnings that you might have missed in the past. You become attuned to timing in a way that allows you to act with precision rather than impulse. You find yourself moving in alignment with opportunities that feel almost orchestrated, not because luck has suddenly favored you, but because you have created the mental and emotional space to recognize and respond to them. This alignment is one of the hidden rewards of guarding your inner life. The discipline of keeping your most sacred truths to yourself also changes the way you deal with conflict. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself in arguments or to defend your position at every turn. You understand that your worth, your vision, and your calling do not require universal agreement. You can walk away from unnecessary debates without feeling defeated, because your confidence comes from within, not from external approval. This ability to remain grounded amidst disagreement is a powerful form of freedom, one that allows you to conserve your energy for the battles that truly matter. Another transformation you experience is the deepening of your resilience. When you no longer depend on others for constant affirmation, you are less shaken by criticism, misunderstanding, or doubt. You learn to process challenges internally, to strengthen yourself from within before turning outward for support. This internal fortitude allows you to endure setbacks without losing your direction, because you know that your path is not determined by temporary circumstances. You have trained yourself to be anchored in something deeper and more enduring. You also come to value the slow, steady unfolding of your journey. In a world obsessed with instant results and public displays of progress, your choice to move quietly and intentionally sets you apart. It gives you the space to make adjustments, to refine your work, and to grow at a pace that is sustainable. And when the results finally do become visible, they speak with a force that only comes from having been built with care, patience, and consistency. This is the strength of roots that have been allowed to grow deep before the branches reach for the sky. It's important to remember that guarding these three kinds of secrets, your spiritual encounters, your detailed plans, and your deepest struggles, does not mean you must live in isolation. It means that you are deliberate about who you let into your inner world and under what circumstances. You still connect, you still share, but you do so with discernment. You measure the trustworthiness of a person not only by their words, but by their actions over time. You notice how they handle both your victories and your challenges, and you pay attention to whether they can respect your boundaries without resentment. And with each year that passes, you become more grateful for the wisdom of restraint. You look back on times when you revealed too much and see clearly how it slowed your progress or complicated your path. And while you cannot change the past, you can use those lessons to protect your future. This is the essence of maturity. Learning from experience and allowing that knowledge to guide your choices moving forward. And ultimately, the power of this way of living is not in the silence itself, but in what the silence makes possible. It creates room for clarity. It preserves the energy of your visions. It allows your spirit to breathe without the weight of constant external input. And it strengthens your connection to the deeper purpose for which you were chosen. When you understand this, guarding your sacred truths no longer feels like a burden. It feels like an act of devotion to the life you are meant to live. As you grow more comfortable with this way of living, you begin to see it not as a restriction but as a refinement. You are not closing doors. You are choosing which ones to open and when. You are not shutting people out. You are inviting the right ones in at the right time. This is a shift in perspective that changes everything. Instead of feeling the need to constantly share in order to feel connected, you realize that true connection is built on depth, trust, and mutual respect, not on how much information you give away. Then you also notice that your energy changes. By not scattering your thoughts, plans, and experiences into countless conversations, you keep your focus sharp. You feel lighter, clearer, and more grounded. Your emotional energy is no longer drained by the need to constantly explain yourself, and your mental energy is freed from the burden of managing other people's opinions about your life. This newfound clarity gives you the space to think bigger, dream deeper, and move with more confidence toward your calling. And it's in this space of clarity that you also begin to see how unnecessary some of your past explanations were. Many times, you tried to convince others of your path, not because it was truly in question, but because you feared being misunderstood. Now you understand that being misunderstood is not the end of the world. In fact, it's inevitable when you are walking a path that is uniquely yours. The goal is not to be understood by everyone. It is to remain faithful to the path regardless of who understands it. When you embrace this, you stop wasting energy on proving yourself and start using that energy to build the life you were meant to live. This shift also changes the way you see the 3 secrets you have committed to protect. You no longer view them as fragile or hidden treasures that must be locked away in fear. Instead, you see them as living, growing parts of your journey, parts that require privacy in order to mature. Just as a seed must be protected in the soil before it can sprout, these sacred truths need their own protected space to grow strong enough to withstand exposure. And when they are ready, they will not need defending. Their strength will speak for itself. And in living this way, you also begin to inspire others, not by telling them everything you are doing, but by showing them the results of a life lived with intention. People will notice your calm, your focus, and the way you seem to move in alignment with opportunities. They may not know exactly how you do it, but they will sense that it comes from a place of discipline and clarity. This quiet influence often speaks louder than any explanation you could give, and it can encourage others to reevaluate their own habits of oversharing or seeking constant approval. Over time, this becomes less about what you are keeping private and more about what you are making possible. You are making space for the right relationships, the right opportunities, and the right timing to intersect with your path. You are making space for your own spirit to grow without being stifled by unnecessary noise. You are making space for your work to evolve without being rushed or judged before it is ready. And perhaps most importantly, you are making space for yourself to be fully present in the process of becoming who you are meant to be. Looking back, you will see the wisdom in holding these boundaries. You will recognize how many potential distractions, conflicts, and detours you avoided simply by choosing not to share too soon. You will remember the moments when silence felt like the harder choice, yet later proved to be the wiser one. And you will realize that this practice has shaped you, not just in how you communicate, but in how you live. It has taught you patience, discernment, and the power of trusting the unseen process. In the end, guarding these 3 secrets is about more than protection. It is about empowerment. It is about claiming authority over your own story and refusing to let it be shaped by the wrong voices. It is about honoring the calling you carry and giving it the space it needs to unfold. And it is about understanding that not everything sacred needs to be seen to be real. Some of the most powerful truths live quietly, shaping your life from within, until the moment they are ready to emerge in full strength. And when that moment comes, when your spiritual encounters are ready to be shared, when your plans are strong enough to withstand scrutiny, and when your struggles have been transformed into testimonies, you will speak with a voice that is steady, confident, and unshakable. You will know that every word you release carries the weight of wisdom, and you will see how your restraint has not only preserved your path, but also amplified your purpose. NNTHE. Longer you walk this path, the more you realize that the discipline of silence is not only a protection for your present, but also an investment in your future. Every time you choose to withhold something until it is ready, you are securing its stability for the seasons to come. You are removing it from the reach of premature criticism, misguided advice, and the kind of attention that can distort its growth. You are, in essence, building a fortress around what matters most, one that is invisible to the outside world, yet unshakable in its strength. And in this space of protection, you find a deeper sense of security within yourself. You no longer feel the constant need to check if others approve or if they understand. Your confidence becomes less dependent on external affirmation and more rooted in the quiet knowing that you are moving in alignment with your purpose. This internal security radiates outward, and people begin to sense it in the way you carry yourself. You are no longer pulled in different directions by every opinion or expectation. Instead, you move with a steady, deliberate rhythm that reflects your clarity of mind. One of the most surprising benefits of living this way is the quality of the opportunities that come to you. When you are selective about what you share, you attract people and situations that resonate with your values and respect your boundaries. You may notice that the doors opening to you now are not the random or rushed opportunities you once chased, but ones that feel divinely aligned, arriving at the right time, with the right people, and in the right context. This alignment is not an accident. It is the natural outcome of creating space for the right things to find you. As you continue to grow in this discipline, you also gain a heightened awareness of the power of timing. You see how even a good thing shared at the wrong time can lose its impact. You understand that the unfolding of your life is like a tapestry, with each thread being placed deliberately. If you pull at the threads too soon or reveal the pattern before it is complete, you risk diminishing its beauty. This understanding teaches you patience, not the passive kind that simply waits, but the active patience that prepares, refines, and strengthens while the right moment approaches. You will inevitably encounter people who misinterpret your silence. Some may think you are hiding something from them. Others may see it as distance or disinterest. But over time, you will learn that you are not responsible for managing every perception of you. Your commitment is not to keeping everyone comfortable. It is to safeguarding the calling that has been placed on your life. Those who are meant to walk with you will understand this, and their respect for your boundaries will only deepen their trust in you. NNTHE greatest transformation happens when you no longer feel the inner pull to explain yourself at all. In the past, you might have shared to justify your actions or to ease someone's doubts. Now, you understand that your life is the explanation. The way you live, the results you produce, and the peace you carry are all the proof you need. You no longer rely on persuasion, you rely on presence. This is the essence of quiet strength, knowing that you do not have to be the loudest voice in the room to have the most influence. And in this stage, your relationship with your own thoughts becomes richer. You spend more time reflecting, planning, and envisioning without feeling the urge to immediately announce those visions. This private dialogue with yourself becomes a source of creativity and insight. You learn to trust the ideas that come to you, nurturing them until they are ready to be acted upon. And when the time comes to move, you do so with a level of preparation and conviction that makes your actions far more effective. NNTHE. 3 kinds of secrets you protect: your spiritual encounters, your detailed plans, and your deepest struggles become not just things you guard, but treasures you cultivate. You see them not as pieces of information, but as living aspects of your journey that deserve care, time, and respect. You understand that by holding them close, You are not diminishing their value, you are increasing it. And when they are finally revealed, they will carry the fullness of the growth and strength they have gained in the shelter of your discretion. And ultimately, you come to see that this way of living is not just a strategy for a season, but a lifelong practice. It shapes the way you approach relationships, opportunities, and even challenges. It becomes the steady foundation beneath every step you take. And as you look back over your life, you will see how much this discipline has preserved. Not only your dreams, but also your peace, your integrity, and your sense of self. In a world that urges constant exposure, you will have chosen the rarer path of sacred protection, and it will have made all the difference. There is a quiet kind of power that grows in you when you consistently protect what matters most. It is not the power that comes from controlling others or forcing outcomes. It is the steady, unshakable power that comes from self-mastery. You know what to give, when to give it, and to whom. You understand that not every truth needs to be spoken and not every moment requires an explanation. You are free from the restless urge to be seen or validated at every turn, and that freedom becomes one of your greatest strengths. None by living in this way, you also begin to notice how much more peaceful your mind becomes. Without the constant weight of others' opinions shaping your every move, you think more clearly, feel more grounded, and act with greater purpose. Your focus sharpens because you are no longer distracted by the noise of unnecessary conversations or the pressure to constantly update others on your progress. You are no longer living for the audience, you are living for the calling, none. You see, the greatest achievements, the most meaningful transformations, and the deepest breakthroughs often happen in silence. They take place far from the eyes of the crowd, in the unseen hours when no one is applauding. And when they are ready to be revealed, they carry a strength that cannot be faked. This is the gift of restraint. It allows you to arrive in your moments of visibility, fully prepared, unshaken by doubt, and rooted in the confidence that you have done the work long before anyone was watching. And even in relationships, this practice changes the way you connect. You no longer measure closeness by how much you disclose, but by the quality of presence and trust between you. You give access based on consistency and proven loyalty, not on charm or convenience. You share your deepest truths only with those who have earned the right to hear them. And in doing so, you preserve your own energy while deepening the trust in those relationships. You are no longer afraid to have boundaries. You understand that they are the framework within which healthy connection can thrive. And this way of living will not always be understood by everyone, and that is perfectly fine. There will always be people who mistake your silence for secrecy or your privacy for distance, but you are no longer here to please everyone. You are here to fulfill a purpose, and you know that purpose requires you to be intentional about what you reveal and when. You have accepted that you cannot be fully known by everyone, and in that acceptance you have found peace. And as you move forward, you will carry with you the understanding that your spiritual encounters are sacred and personal, not to be thrown into the hands of those who cannot appreciate their depth. You will remember that your detailed plans are fragile in their early stages and must be nurtured before being exposed to the weight of others' opinions. You will protect your deepest struggles, sharing them only with those who can hold them with genuine care and without judgment. And you will know that this protection is not selfishness, it is wisdom. None in the life you are building is not meant to be rushed or carelessly displayed. It is a masterpiece in progress, and every stroke requires intention. You have learned to trust the process, to guard the work while it is still forming, and to release it only when it is ready to stand on its own. This is the mark of someone who understands the value of what they carry, and when the time comes for you to share, whether it is a vision, a victory, or a hard-earned lesson, you will do so with the assurance that it has been refined, tested, and strengthened in the safety of your silence. Your words will carry the weight of truth that has been lived, not just imagined. Your story will resonate because it has been shaped by patience, discipline, and unwavering faith in the journey. In the end, never sharing these 3 secrets openly is not about withholding from the world. It is about offering the world the best, most complete, and most powerful version of what you have been given. It is about ensuring that what you release into the world is strong enough to fulfill its purpose without being distorted or diminished. And it is about honoring the sacred responsibility of being chosen, not by scattering your light recklessly, but by letting it shine in the right places at the right time for the right reasons. This is how you protect your destiny. This is how you preserve your peace. And this is how you ensure that the calling you carry will not only survive, but thrive. Nain.